I just
Okay.
thought that if, I feel like if I infer it enough in a video, then maybe by, like the graces of the internet that some person will watch and be like, yeah, I actually know these guys. I'll hit them up. And then it just
Yeah,
worked out. Shane just happened
it
to
did.
just email
Yeah,
me and I was very grateful.
that's so great. Yeah, that's awesome. No, your stuff, I've watched a couple of your reaction
Oh,
videos,
thank you.
and I feel like it's in no way pretentious for me to go look at my own stuff because it's hard for me to really get a real idea of how people like our music,
Oh
and
yeah.
I feel like reaction videos can oftentimes be faked.
Yeah.
Anyone
Oh
can
yeah.
just say, I
Yeah.
think something is awesome, but I felt like you genuinely seems really into it, and there's a few things that you talked about, and I was like, I can't wait to chat with him about some of this
Oh,
stuff.
thank you.
So yeah, here I am. Bring it
I
to me, Brandon. Tell me what you want to talk about. We'll go
well,
from
we will
there.
talk about it all, but I want to give you a little bit of my candidness as well because for the longest time, like I've been doing this for a little over 7 years, and I just never gave into the trend of doing reaction videos. I just felt like, as you mentioned, they can be kind of like figmented in some ways. So I never felt like when people tell me they're like, "Oh my god, I really love your reaction. It just seems so real. It seems so genuine." That tugs in my heartstrings. I think that that's one of the coolest things because I never want to come across as like, "Oh my god, this guy's being like extra for like no reason." I just want to feel like I'm like you can see the joy on my face and like that
Yeah.
I'm really actually immersing in it, not necessarily just being like, okay, like I could just sit here and be like, oh my God, like, and do this crazy thing. But I want to admit to everyone that it is a genuine reaction. And I was thrilled with this album. So much so that immediately after I did the stream, I was like, I have to buy this on vinyl. Not only because I have a crippling addiction to vinyl, but also because I wanted to support you guys. So I immediately bought it as soon as I could.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. No, I could see it in your eyes. Like that's the thing is you can tell when people are faking it when you just look at their eyes, and when they're actually enjoying it, there's more of an it's hard to explain, but
It's got you got the glimmer, It's like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, it's that there's a difference. You can't fake realism when it comes to reacting for the first time to something. So, yeah, I really enjoyed watching your videos.
Well,
They're great.
I appreciate it. You've made my day, so I absolutely love that. But Dawson, I will count it in. I'll say your band name, the ongoing concept. You say what you do in the band, and we'll get in with the questions.
Yeah, are you recording all of this and just from the start, or
Y-
like was
I kind of recorded it a little bit of just the beginning half, but just like as soon as we jump in, I'll kind of cut it in just so it's
yeah,
more
do what you got to do.
seamless.
I just wanted to make sure. Sometimes people are like, stop talking because I want to start the interview because all these are this is like gold moments that you're talking. So I just want to make sure that you were recording from the
Oh,
get
thank you.
go, all that stuff. So do what you got to do, and we'll go from there.
I also feel like, when you meet people on the internet and you're not sure, I've been doing this long enough where I feel like I want to kind of give a few moments to just like ease into it. If I like, I know obviously you're a seasoned veteran of doing interviews, so I didn't expect anything less. But I also interview like some unsigned and like local bands and stuff like that. So I want to be able to kind of have that sort of like not me immediately jumping into it and then have
Oh,
like the camera like on people. I want to give a little time so it's not awkward. So,
totally,
all
totally.
right.
20 minutes later.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. I'm very excited to have the ongoing concept on, and he can say his name and what he does in the band.
Thanks, Brandon. I am Dawson Schultz from the band The Ongoing Concept, and we're hanging out here with Audio Addiction, chatting about our new record again.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you. Obviously want to give a massive shout outs to Shane. We did kind of talk a little bit off camera about the I don't know, it's just the internet is so cool sometimes. So I got to learn to be just like grateful for those moments. So I love that. And also the fact that Dawson was just like being not only the truest of homies, but he checked the video out, and that you know, I don't even need to do the rest of the interview. I just feel happy that that's in existence. But um, Thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. I wanted to kind of go back in some of the timeline of how I found out about your band. The first time I actually saw you guys was in this venue in New Jersey because I used to live in New Jersey, and actually two venues in New Jersey that kind of went away. But the first time seeing you guys was in 2015 at Game Changers World. I don't know if you remember that. That was, I think, Handmade had just come out or like was around that point in time. And then the second time that I saw you guys, which I remember a little bit more fondly, was you guys played at Champs Bar in Trenton in 2017. And you guys were out with Capstan. And then shout outs to my good homies. They're no longer a band anymore, but Hearts Like Lions, and they were great too, which
Okay.
fantastic
Okay.
lineup.
Yes. So the first time in New Jersey, was that with Dayseeker?
I believe so, yes.
Oh man. Oh man.
That was
Yes.
like that was like way before now. They're like doing some really good shit. So salutes to
Yeah,
Dayseeker. They're awesome.
a lot of Walmart parking lots with Dayseeker. Those guys are probably it I I am so proud of those guys. They have blown up so much,
They've done
and
so well for themselves. Yeah, it's awesome.
it's so cool. I was just pushing them so hard to everybody I knew, because I'm like, this band is going to be touring with Bring Me the Horizon probably at some point in time. Like, don't don't like pass on them. And this is music industry stuff, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
managers and booking agents, and a lot of them were like, this is just a gimmick of a band. I'm like, no, no, no. When you hear Rory sing for the first time
Oh,
and you
melts.
realize that he's there's no auto tune on that shit,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
you will reconsider. And sure enough, here they are, and it's awesome to see. And every single member of that band, at least back then, they've changed. Some of their members are not the same, but Gino and
Hmm.
Rory are like the ones that are still there that were with us back in 2015. And man, what a fun tour we had. But yes, I do think I remember that venue that you're talking about, New Jersey. Was it like a really weird
The setup was so weird. Yeah.
okay.
The one stage was like in this like I want to give everybody kind of a lay of the land of the venue. So like it was in this like almost like strip mall, like kind of like small parking lot, and it's like very unassuming. Like you drive by it and you wouldn't think it's a venue. Then you get inside and it's like concrete floors, like concrete walls, and then they put up some like foam on the wall to just because otherwise it just all the sound would be just ricocheting across the walls. So it was very cool. I love that place, but it was like they had a smaller venue in the back to the left, and then on the right hand side they had like an actual like stage. The other one was like every time you see that meme where it's just like a stage that's like 5 inches off the wall or like 5 inches off the
Yeah.
floor, and it's like it barely quantifies as a stage, but it worked, you know.
Oh man, it's so hard to remember some of that stuff. It's like I think I remember, but there was some stuff we were playing. I think we played New York after or maybe before, and that was a really iconic venue too by how how shitty it was. So all those kind of blur together,
Oh
and
yeah,
I don't know which one it was, but that's so cool that you came out. And yeah, the ones Hearts Like Lions, those guys are really really cool.
yeah.
That whole tour was awesome, and Capstan is doing really good
Oh
themselves
yeah,
as
same.
well.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see just bands that we brought on, um, eh, that are just successfully making it. And yeah, it's just cool to see people expand and grow and become, kind of fill their shoes. Dayseeker and us at the time were very unsure of where we wanted to go,
Sure. Yeah.
and Dayseekers figured out where they are at, and it's awesome. And Capstan is the same way. They have really filled into their shoes and figured out the path they want to take, and it's really humbling and cool to see, those types of bands grow. So there's
I
a
saw the
dog right
dog.
here,
I
by the way.
did see the
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, yeah.
It's cute.
Yeah, it's a his name's Reggie. He is
Oh.
a border collie doodle. So
Oh, that's so
he's
adorable.
He's
My
cute.
my roommate's cat and possibly my cat will be making it in here at some point.
Oh,
So
yes. I love
yes.
cats. Like, I really our landlords won't let us have cats in this house,
Oh,
unfortunately, but I am definitely a cat person, and if I could have one, there would definitely be one just chilling with me right now, for sure.
my roommate's cat. Shout outs to Milk. He sometimes sits here every once in a while. So
Oh, I see it now. I see the cat. I see
he's
the whole the freaking fort, the cat
yeah, the
fort.
cat fort. Yeah. So he either will sit here, and then my cat will somehow lay on my bed at some point. So if you do see them, say what's up. They're the boys. I love those guys.
Cool.
Shout outs to Milk and Meatball, my guys. Um, but Dawson, like I said, been a fan for a while. I found out about your band back in 2013 with Saloon, and I've just kind of been following you guys for such a long time, and it's cool to see. And I'm pretty sure, possibly, if I remember in the review of the album, I think it's just so cool how you guys continue to evolve and change and still kind of keep that core like quirkiness about your band. Like there's something about it that whenever I show people your guys' stuff, which more recently I have been, just because again has been I've been jamming it like every day and like crying at how good it is. Not I'm not chilling because Dawson's on here. I legitimately love this album and it's insane, and you should go check it out with there's links in the description because they're great. But I like it blew my mind when I found out about you in 2013 with Saloon, and then Handmade. I was like, how are they gonna top that? And then beyond that, I listened to Places, and I was just like, dude, at what threshold is this band going to continue to like push the envelope? And I always felt like you guys had just such a great momentum going, and obviously then you went on hiatus for a little bit, which, not gonna lie, I had a really big sink in my chest, and I was like, oh man, am I gonna be able to see them again? Like, are they gonna be touring? Because you guys did a lot of touring back in the old days. I don't want to put us in the old category because that's not fair. We're both young at heart. But I it kind of it kind of always intrigued me that if there was one band that I could bring back to life, I was like, the Ongoing Concept was one of those bands that I felt like if they came back, I'm pretty sure I would just scream like a little schoolgirl and be really, really like just fucking hype that they're back again. Did you find that same sort of like love with people that, like, again, when you announced that you were going to be releasing new songs, that you guys kind of came back to solid state? Did you find that kind of love and like support for you guys, and that continued support kind of carried over from some of the previous albums? Because I feel like the Ongoing Concept as a fan base is a very tight knit group, I'd argue.
Yeah. I mean, I was unsure if people would even give a shit if we announced that we were coming
Wow.
back. So the thing was, is like I feel like I think I lost faith in humanity in the sense that attention spans are so short these days, and so
Yeah.
I kind of felt like people probably just thought just didn't even care. And so when we we posted our first well, first of all, here's what's funny.
Yeah.
6 months prior to us even releasing our first teaser
Hmm.
to our album, our Facebook account got hacked,
Yes.
uh,
Oh my God. I
and
remember
it
that.
had like
Yes.
Spanish or like Italian,
Yes. Oh
like
my God.
what are they called, soap operas on
Yes.
there,
Oh my God. I remember that.
and it was really
Oh.
rough. Fit for a King, Silent Planet, and I think Wolves of the Gate. I'm not gonna. I mean, I guess I will just throw our A&R rep under the bus because he was attached to all of those accounts, and his account got hacked, and so because his account got hacked, the hackers were able to go into all of the pages that he was admin of, and
Oh.
did all of that. So it was it had nothing to do with me.
Oh my
It
God.
was so for anyone out there that doesn't want that to happen, just get double authenticity or whatever it's called, authentication.
I got you. Yeah.
Uh, he did not have that. He just had standard stuff. And so luckily though, I think I think the story goes, have you heard of the band Lightworker that's also on Solid
Yes,
State?
they're great too. Shout
So
outs.
yeah, they're awesome, and we're actually going on tour with them in
Oh, nice.
the end of June. So, but I think Grayson, their guitar player, he works at Facebook, and
Okay.
so he was able to fast track all of that and get it to the
Ooh.
forefront. Otherwise, it would have been all of our bands being locked out of our accounts for months, which is very detrimental to for us. It didn't matter because we were planning to release something like a few months later, but we didn't care. But for a band like Silent Planet or Fit for a
Yeah,
King or Wolf
yeah.
of the Gate, it's not very fun to be able to not be able to get into your account. So that was a rough little segment there. But yeah, when I actually released our first little teaser, which is basically us revealing that we were back together again, I didn't think we'd get a lot of views. And like it blew up. People were so excited to see and hear and just know that the old members were back in town. And it was very humbling. And I think my guys, my band in general, like my brothers and stuff, like we didn't really know what to think of it either. I think they were actually kind of blown away too. They're like, people actually care about our band that much still. Like it's been a long, long
Yeah.
time. And I don't know. It was just a really cool feeling. But I think we kind of just continued on with that momentum and really found joy and happiness with writing new songs. And it's just been such a fun journey to kind of feel like we were back before Saloon.
Sure,
Before
yeah.
Saloon was released, we actually had the whole thing written, and Solid State actually came to us after the album had been fully done. It's not like they reached out and then we got like we signed the contract and then went out to a studio. No, that album had been out for almost a year prior to them even
Wow.
reaching out to us. So uh, the process of creating Saloon was completely us not really having anything other than just the fact that if this comes out and no one cares, that's okay because we just had fun with it. We
Sure,
didn't know
yeah.
where it was going to go. And we didn't even shop around for labels because it was like, what's the point? I knew the stigma, which was, I'm pretty sure labels get demos and laugh at them because the fact they come to you rather than you go to them, like that's just how it is. And
Yeah, sure.
I knew that, so we just kind of went with this whole DIY. If someone wants to come to us, then awesome. But if they don't, we'll just keep doing it ourselves until it works out. And sure enough, at some point we got hit up, and the rest is history, I guess, at that point. But that nostalgia vibe of us back in the day, 2011. That was when
Ooh.
because we released Arrows for Bullets, I think, in 2011, but we
Yes.
we instantly went right back into writing again right after that EP, and that's where everything started happening. And uh all of the joy and the not giving two shits about what people think type of mentality, and not thinking it was a business, it was more of a hobby.
Yeah.
That that was all there. And then when we did this last record with Again, it felt exactly like that, which is really, really weird because Handmade in places felt very much like a business record. And that's probably how every band feels. It's not about what they love to write, it's about the business aspect, which totally ruins the joy and happiness of it. So we got lucky. We got really lucky with this one. And we all have careers and outside passions beyond the band.
Sure,
So
yeah.
if this album didn't do well or doesn't do well, like it's not going to defeat us in any way. We'll just go back to what we're doing and just have fun with it. So
Well, you guys are
yeah,
having plenty of fun. I feel like that album, as most, and I'll leave a link to go watch it. Not to, again, shill for me, but you should check it out. Seriously, it is one album that I have been anticipating since you guys that announced that you were releasing an album. I was just like, I know, without a shadow of a doubt, I had to review it at some point, and I just felt like the urgency of it was just like I need to do this as soon as I can do it, um, and well exceeded my expectations. There were some songs that I was just like, how did they do this? Why did they do it? It's so out there, but. And also, I want to ask Dawson, why did you name all of the songs like again? That's what I think that's what
yeah,
threw
I
me for
know.
the biggest loop. I
You
was
said that
like,
in your reaction video.
I was like, all of them are again, and I was like, I can almost be assured that I am going to just fuck it up at least one time, and I'm pretty sure I did, but I was just trying to figure out why, and then also on top of that, just doubling down and naming your album again. Just there was a lot of agains in the pot, so I wanted
Yeah.
to know why you named it that.
Yeah. So so actually we've had a lot of funny interactions with just practicing for, like, we did a couple album release shows this past weekend, and
Awesome, yeah.
um when we've been practicing, it's definitely come up in conversation where we get confused because we play a lot of our songs, like we play Amends from the Handmade album, but
Yes,
we
yeah,
also
yeah.
play Amends again and stuff like that. So what ends up happening is, like, we'll be like, okay, so what's the set list? It's like, okay, so we're playing Amends and we're playing Amends again, or like we're doing this and this, and like, are we playing Amends again, or are we playing Amends? Or something will be like, okay, let's play Amends again, like as in let's play the song Amends again because we didn't do well on that
Not
song.
amends again the song, yeah.
Yeah, so in practice it's been a pain in the ass for sure. Like we have to, like, really differentiate what's
Which
different.
again you mean?
Yeah, so it's fun, but I kind of did it for multiple reasons. Obviously, when we started writing this record, I had no vision for where this was going to go. I was just writing. The very first song we started writing was "Feel Again,"
Nice.
and it took us a long time to actually write that song because we were kind of rusty. We hadn't really recorded a record together as far as brothers go since 2014. Because even though Handmade came out in 2015, we were writing that. I mean, demoing it, but we had to build all the
Yeah,
instruments
yeah,
and all
yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff. So we didn't record it until 2015, but we were like writing and record. It was a long thing, but that was the last time we really did anything together. And so that is like 5 6 years of not working together since then. So the first song was very kind of tedious in the sense of us trying to figure out the flow of how we wanted to write together, and it was very positive. It was awesome. We had a great time, but it was more like us, like we only recorded like once a week. All of us would come over once a week, and we would hang out. A lot of times it would just be us bullshitting, hanging out, watching
I
stupid
love that.
YouTube videos, and actually not really writing a whole lot. But it was more getting a vibe together.
Yeah.
And so it took like 4 or 5 months to write our first song. And this was like 2009, end of 2019, 2020. COVID hit. We live in Idaho, so the restrictions weren't nearly as intense. So we just
Sure.
all just
Yeah.
hung out all the time. So I'm just making sure my dog wasn't. It sounded like he was throwing up.
Oh,
Sorry.
so that would have been, yeah, that would have been
No,
not great.
he's fine. But yeah, so we did that, and after we wrote that song, we still had one album with Solid State. We had our contract kind of had one more album. So
Sure. Yeah.
I brought it up to our A&R, and we chatted, and they liked the song and everything, and so we brought up the idea of doing a full album. And of course, all my band was just like, yeah, let's just do a full album. This has been fun. Because we didn't really know if we even wanted to release anything. We just wanted to see what it would be like to write together again.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we were excited. So we started writing, and uh, after a while, what ended up happening was I started going into my old sessions of our other albums because I
Oh,
I
nice.
I, I keep everything stored up. Like, in fact, because Saloon is technically 10 years old this year, I am going to be doing some cool videos going back into some of our sessions of that album to kind of get an in-depth look. But all of this stuff is stored on an old 2008 MacBook, or not, sorry, not MacBook, but Mac Pro, like the big
Yeah,
tower
yeah,
thing
yeah,
from 2008. It's a big beast. But it's awesome. I love it, and it still works, and it's still great. It's all isolated, so it hasn't been plugged into the internet for years. So it's just very like its own identity.
yeah.
I've done a lot of records. I even did a record in 2021 in it before I got my new PC.
Ooh,
Like that's how long I've been using this thing for over a
incredible.
decade. Yeah, it's great. So I was going back into all these session files and just kind of getting a vibe for where we were at. Um, at the time. So going back into Saloon, going back into Handmade, going back into Places, and just it wasn't all about going back into those sessions like You Will Go or Saloon or whatever songs. It was more going into all of the other side songs that never actually made it to the album. There's a lot of
Oh,
canceled
wow.
songs. Like each album we do, there's usually 10 other songs that don't make
That
it.
don't make it, yeah.
Not completely done songs. Like a lot of people will use that marketing tactic and say, "Oh yeah, we had 20 songs that
We had
never made
50
the album."
songs that were
Yeah.
unused that will never
Yeah,
see the
no.
light of day.
Yeah,
Unless we
it's one.
release like a 20-year compilation album with like all 5,000 demo snippets crumpled
Yeah.
together.
No, what it mostly is just like a couple riffs on the guitar that you thought could work together and they just didn't pan out. That's what it was. But we had a
Sure,
lot of
yeah.
skeletons, like just I call them skeletons, they weren't really,
The bones,
full
yeah.
full they're yeah. And we had a lot of those and I was just going through them and stuff. And then I'd go through some of our other songs on those albums, like the actual ones that made it to the record, like Saloon, for example. And I'd just be like, man, it'd be cool if we did like a part two of Saloon. That'd be awesome. Or Unwanted, for example. I was struggling with the song Unwanted again, and I couldn't think of like a phrase or a melody or a lyric for the part that goes, I wanted every single, that part.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to say, and I was going through our unwanted sessions, and I'm like, "What if I just use the lyrics of that one little part right there from Unwanted and put that in?" So then I did, and I'm like, "Oh, well, it could be a part 2 of Unwanted. That'd be cool. We'll call it Unwanted again." So, but then on top of that, here's our whole band sitting together, vibing and having a really good time, and the concept or the phrase, "It's so cool to be back working and making music again," came up so often in just hanging out that after a while I was like, why don't we just call the record Again? Because we're literally taking songs that we have done and we're just doing them again as in like a part 2, but also we're all back to again. This is our new record after a 6-year hiatus. Like we're back again. And then on top of that, um like I feel I feel like we were in a situation where we were rewinding things, and that's also like a synonym for again. I just there's just so many weird because we brought the
It all
VHS
circles
camera and
back,
just
yeah.
yeah, so it just made so much more sense to just call it again. And here's the one of the best reasons that I use this because I want people to go back to our back catalog. And I felt like if we made all of our songs have this kind of silly
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
title thing, people would be more intrigued to go back and listen to the first one. So if they're like, why is every song called this again, this again, this again, this again? Well, they only have to take a few seconds to figure out that, well, that's because they're, referencing songs from their other albums. And they go, oh, well, I wonder what those songs sound like. And then they have a reason to go back and listen to our other records. So I don't know. I was just trying to think from a marketing standpoint. That also works well too. So I know it's a very long-winded
No, that was
answer,
great.
but yeah, that is why, Brandon, we used the word again after every single
I
song.
I started to get fatigued, I'm not gonna lie. By the last song, I was like, "Please, like, let it end." I was like, "This is the last song again." Oh, sorry, never mind. That's not that's not a song title. It's not in whatever. And then I got a little flustered, and then we just listened to the last song. But now it's like I get it. Now it's like all you start to kind of put the pieces together, and I also felt like because I was doing it live, I was like, wait a second. I was like, aren't these? I was like, some of these song names I knew, so I was just like, are they like they're just part two or like the next like iteration of Unwanted again? Like then it was like as I was listening through to the new album, I was like, okay, this makes sense. I kind of came to that conclusion, but it was nice to get the reassurance that I was thinking about that right. And also, you should just go listen to the old albums. Saloon's great, Handmaid's great, Places are great. just listen to all of them. Just like go to sleep and just, enjoy a nice restful sleep.
I don't know if I don't know if some of our songs are worthy of falling asleep to, but I like the analogy or the idea. Yeah,
Just
I mean,
listen.
I think we just really like to be conceptual with everything we do, but we also sometimes like to be vague with the conceptual stuff that we do
Hmm.
because then it makes people ask questions. So you asking that question is exactly kind of what I wanted you to do because it sparks conversation. And because of that conversation, people might actually think negatively, but that's all good press at the end of the day. You want negative press just as much as you want positive press. And if you're like, why the hell are they not just naming the songs normally? Well, you've created a conversation where people are going to ask you, yeah, why is that? And then they start asking questions. And here we are. I'm answering them now, but it started the conversation. And I love that. I love
All I'm
that.
saying is Dawson and the ongoing concept are playing 4D chess, guys. So that's really what it comes down to is that they made you think about these songs and why they're named again. So you could get so mad that you go back and listen to the first song and be like, oh shit, now it makes sense. And then mind blown.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say 4D chess. I can't even play a good game of 3D chess. So, or 2D. I'm so bad at chess. I'm okay, but not the best. So definitely not 4D chess. Just
just regular
silent
chess.
silence and vagueness is key to life. I'll tell you that.
Okay, well, I'll make sure to take up Dawson's infinite wisdom on that because you know.
There's no wisdom to that. I was just making something up on the spot.
But I also want to point out as well. I really loved your interview with the Black Sheep podcast. That was great. I was listening to it actually as I was getting everything set up for this, so wanted to give that a shout because I really enjoyed your talk there. And
Oh
anytime I
yeah.
can shout out other people that do stuff like this, I love doing that. So please go check out that podcast. I'll leave a link for that. That
I
was
don't even think I've seen that one.
it's a
Wait, no, I
it's a good
have.
listen. It was a good listen. Well, you were also a part of it, so I mean, I feel like you have one leg above
Yeah.
the competition there.
No, I think I totally remember that. That's the yes, yes, yeah, that was a good one. They brought up some cool questions. That was a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed. I wanted to give you a shout out for doing being a mental health advocate. I feel like I feel like a lot of people obviously talk about that, myself included, but it's always nice to kind of get that sort of recognition. So wanted to give you a salutes on that
Oh,
because
thanks.
that's
Yeah, it's a big part of, it's my main job. Like it's my 40-hour a week job working for integrated interventions. It's a big part of what I do and I'm very passionate about it and if the band were to die tomorrow, I would still be just as passionate about that and I don't know. It's a really cool thing. I think in some ways it made me who I am today. I started working there in 2019,
nice. Okay.
and so I've been there for 4 years now. And the company has grown from there was like 12 people when we started, and now
Wow,
there's 150 staff. Like it's
that's awesome.
grown a lot, and we are a private company, that focuses on one-on-one mentoring and all that kind of stuff. And it's something that it's a little bit private. It's not a public thing,
Sure.
but I work with a lot of interesting people, and we have worked with people that you'd be surprised have some very famous people. Like that's the thing is we work with Idaho. It's very isolated,
Yeah.
and so a lot of people will send their young adults to this program to kind of transition into the community. But it's very, very fulfilling and it's really cool to be a part of. And we're trying to break into the insurance type thing so that we can
Oh,
actually break into the not so privatized community because we value mental health very much and but it's hard. The government is very specific on certain things and there's a lot of red tape that happens to
sure.
make it
Yeah.
allowed to be used or for people to be able to access that type of help that is needed, which is sometimes a shitty thing, but
Yeah.
we're getting there. And I love seeing the growth of our company. And I appreciate you mentioning that, because every single time someone brings it up, I get real serious real fast,
Aw.
because I really enjoy everything that we do. So yeah, and I know there's a lot of other people in the music industry that are passionate about it too. I mean, there's like um heart support
Yes,
with
Jake.
Jake. There's a few others too that are very passionate about that, and I love seeing that, because it's incredibly important in this time. I think COVID kind of brought it to light by how much people need some help sometimes, and that's totally fine. And there's nothing wrong with accepting that maybe you need a little bit of therapy once in a while, because we all, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you know, have our own thoughts, and we need some guidance, and no one's above that. So
Oh, 100%.
yeah.
And I also feel like too, it's more accepting. I feel like especially when, I feel like especially now, as you mentioned, like especially during COVID, I feel like a lot of people were able to kind of come to terms with their inner selves. I think I definitely had those moments where, like, you know, I got burnt out and stressed out for doing YouTube, and like, a lot of bands unfortunately had to shutter in, and so the influx of people coming in and wanting to talk about their bands and stuff, it just was like, oh, this is a great opportunity. I could just talk to like so many more bands now. This is great. And I don't think I realized how taxing that was on me. And so I did take like a prolonged hiatus from doing YouTube for a little bit, because I just feel like I needed to just step away and have like learn to breathe on my own a little bit, because YouTube is that type of thing where it's just like you're a hamster on a wheel, and there's like somebody dangling a piece of cheese in front of you, and you're like, I gotta get the cheese, man. This is awesome. And then
Yeah.
there's no let up, and I appreciate when bands have this sort of forward thinking of being able to speak how they feel. And I think that a lot of bands have taken up that mantle. I imagine including your band as well. Just by being able to speak out a little bit more about it, and that people aren't I don't feel like people are as afraid to be like, hey, like, yeah, maybe I should get some therapy, or yeah, maybe I should just like be able to kind of seek some help, or something like that. And I've always tried to champion that, because I think that music was something that I went to as a safe haven for me, and how I kind of like maybe felt distant from other people. And so the community has always really helped me out, and I think that was what really pushed me to start like doing podcasts and interviewing bands and stuff, because I wanted to be able to give back. And so when you had mentioned about how much the mental health the mental health organization you work with, and just kind of like having that sort of passion to want to do that, I found a lot of resonance in that, because that's how I feel about doing bands and interviewing them, like how much they've affected me personally, and how I want to be able to share that love and passion that I have for artists that are just like some of the nicest people. And I want to be able to highlight that. So I appreciate you being a part of the community, and obviously, being an advocate for mental health. So I wanted to give it a little love. So I do
Yeah,
appreciate it.
totally. Yeah, no, it's a big thing. And the music industry and music in general is such a coping mechanism, in sometimes a negative but very positive way too. But
Hmm.
it's so important for people to have an outlet like music, to whether it's listening to it, whether it's going to shows, whether it's playing it, like it's so important. And with things like, chat GPT and all these AI things that are happening, it kind of like, it's depressing to feel like authenticity is kind of getting thrown out the window these days. But I don't think that that's ever going to happen. I think that now it's like, it's making us stronger by how people really need to come together and appreciate human talent, because that at the end of the day is really what drives us along. Like, think,
Oh yeah.
what's one thing that you've been, so impressed with that isn't involved, well, maybe besides like a self-driving car or something, but when you think about like everything that you cry to or get, the
The
back of your neck, like
goosebumps. Yeah,
the
I got you.
goosebumps and all
Yeah.
that stuff, it's never from anything like that. It's always from a human uh art
Oh
interaction in
yeah.
some sort of way. And I think that that is what is going to drive us closer as a human race, coming in the next. I don't know. I think that that's always been, it's just been like this like closing in thing of just like how united can we be. Right now we
Yeah.
are divided, but I think in some way when it comes to like art, it's we are very much coming together. And I love seeing that type of stuff. And it's cool like seeing bands that are just getting big. Like I keep bringing up Dayseeker because they're like that band that I toured with for like
Yeah.
a
No.
month and a
Yeah.
half, and
That's
we've become
awesome.
really close. And they're just doing so well, and it's just so cool to see so much unity coming from that band, and like people loving on that band, through all the hard work that they've put into being what they are, and seeing people like just love music through them, and it's super humbling and cool, and it gives me hope for the for this fucking shitty race of people that we are. So yeah.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. Like I think there are some glimmers of hope where you see like people. I think there is just this catharticness that you don't really like. You kind of like are just like, oh yeah, music's great. It makes me feel this way. But like, I I I think there's a little bit beyond that. Like when I'm literally sitting here, have my headphones on and I'm listening to an album, like I think that there's an important lesson in just immersing yourself in the album. Like as Dawson mentioned before, like I think people's time spans are just like infinitely shrinking, and as much as I love hearing a bunch of singles and hearing new music all the time, I think that, and I made like a comment on this on like a more current podcast, but I feel like for me, I love seeing the progression of a band, like how they put all of their thoughts in like a formula, and how they kind of like tell a story from front to back in that way. And I don't feel like you really get that with singles. I understand that EPs might be more of the way to go if you want to have a little bit more of a format to it, but I'm also old, so I enjoy an album. I love listening to them from front to back. That's why I love doing the kind of live review aspect of things. But I understand it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I'll get off my high horse and just say my shit. But I do feel like there is this level of like, again, you get those goosebumps, you get those feelings. You're just like, oh my god, like I this is amazing, and then you get to the next song and you're like, oh man, this is insane too. And so I do feel like you miss out or you lose out on some of those things that uh that have that sort of magic to them when it's in an album versus like getting a single. It's like the necessity of like, okay, this is like gonna get a bunch of singles, or gonna get a bunch of music, or we're gonna get like a really intricate thought piece where you go through and you listen through to the whole thing and you're like, this is great. This is a great medium. It's a great 12-track album that you can really just kind of sink your teeth into. I love that. But I understand I feel like there's a certain age where that kind of cuts off and the needle shifts over into like
Mhm.
singles, EPs and stuff like that. 100%.
I was actually having this conversation last night on another interview, and I was saying that the battle between Thanos and like Tony Stark and all that stuff
Yeah.
is like really good. Like it's a
Yeah.
great battle, but like it wouldn't hit you as hard when Iron Man snaps his fingers if you only watched like that one piece.
Correct. Yeah.
It takes all of that to make sense and to make you cry at basically when that happens, right? And I feel like with singles and EPs and stuff, like you're not always you're just not getting like, and I know it's a younger generation, but it's kind of a bummer because
Oh, agreed.
I grew up listening to an album from front to back, and I was a huge Dream Theater fan. That's kind of where
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
the conceptual stuff comes from with our band. Me and Kyle, my brother Kyle, the screamer, and my brother Parker, the drummer, we grew up on Dream Theater for a long time, like when I was like 12, 13, 14. And so there's these albums like Scenes from a Memory and Octavarium and
Oh,
6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. Like there's all these records that are like, they all are like one song combined. And then like the last song of the record combines with the next song. Like that's where I got a lot of the ideas for our band. I just decided not to do 16-minute long songs and condense them down to
thank
3 minute
God.
long songs. So yeah, exactly. I'm not a big fan of that, but I loved listening to those records from front to back because it told a story in such a unique way that when you finally finished the last track, you felt like you've watched a whole movie in a way. And I think that with how people are wanting to do the single route, it provides it kind of it doesn't make you have your own identity. It feels like you're just like, I don't know how to explain it. And I think I'm just
Going through the
trying
motions kind of a thing,
to
almost. Like you're just
maybe.
like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep releasing music, and this is where it has to be. Like this is what people want because you're feeling that need of like that one person that messages you on social media and is like, hey, I know you guys just released a song, but when's the next one coming out? Like I feel like it
Yeah.
fills that gap for people that are like just like eager for the next thing.
Yeah, that is it. But it to me, it's like when bands keep doing that, it's like I feel like every time I see a band in there, you just see all the singles that they have. It's like they've done pilot episodes of different
Shows,
shows over
yeah.
and over and over to see which one. You know what I mean? Like I can't I'm trying to put into words what I'm trying to say, but when you have a full album, you're actually getting the full essence of like
Agreed, yeah.
a year or so of just straight creating a whole conceptual identity. And a single does not provide that. I don't I feel like Spotify numbers are fucking important, but they're oftentimes I think incredibly bullshit at the same time. So I hate that you have to keep that freaking Spotify monthly listener thing up as much as possible to get tours, to get any sort of
Ugh.
recognition. I think it's completely bullshit. People want to hear what they want to hear, and you putting out a single every 3 months is cool, but I don't know if your longevity is going to be as prominent if you do it that way. But
I would
that's
agree.
just me. That's just me trying to make myself feel better because we don't do singles. We probably should, but I don't know.
No, no, but I think I really do feel like it kind of depends on the situation of the band, like, but I also feel like it's up to the perception of the members in the band, right? Like, if everybody kind of agrees, like, we got to do an album. I feel like that has to be the consensus. Somebody just can't be like, yeah, I want to do singles. And then the other guy's like, oh, I want to do a full album. And the other guy's like, I want to do a full album. I feel like it kind of all has to come to that same sort of like thought that you're like, we're all going to do an album. We're doing an album collectively. We're releasing it together. Like, this is what should be. I mean, I happen to agree with you, Dawson, just because not because you're my guest tonight, but I also just agree in general, and I feel like I'm that guy that's just shaking his fist at the sky and is like, I want a full album. I don't want 20 singles, but I'll probably still be doing that, just because I know that, like I said, the concept of having everything in a certain way and just like being able to see the band really kind of just like cut their teeth on putting an album together. Like that is a difficult process sometimes. Hopefully it's not for most people. I hope it's a very small majority of bands. But I think it's such a fun process to see how this all comes to be, and that's why I think I loved again a lot, just because I think you could kind of hear that you guys are really kind of hashing out, trying to figure out what works, what like different vibes you wanted to bring into the album, and I gotta say it's like one of my favorite records that have come out this year. 100%. It's gonna be on my albums of the year list certainly, and uh, you know, I appreciate that you stuck to your guns and just did a full album. I don't like. I
Yeah.
know. I didn't feel like there is much like. I didn't feel like there was much like wiggle room there. I feel like you all collectively wanted to release an album, which is great. But you know, you don't have to worry about singles with me. I don't. I'm not speaking for the fan base here, but you know, I like the
Well,
albums.
I have a few ideas of like how to continue on from here and still provide a bit of a conceptual presence. So, I mean, I don't. I will definitely be doing full lengths again. I just don't know. There might be some like EPs in between.
Sure,
I don't
sure,
know. I
sure.
don't know what we're gonna do. We're just gonna kind of go with it, and I think we're all actually eager to start writing new music already now that the album's out, and we're also really eager to do more music videos too. I feel like
Yes.
music videos provide a new breath into an existing song. So, there's a lot of songs on our record that are going to kind of fall to the wayside in the sense that people won't listen to them as much because they're not on playlists or this and that. And so I think music videos breathe new life into a song that's already been put out, but then could maybe get some more love. And there's a few songs in this record that I personally think are the best songs that weren't the singles. And so I'm excited to maybe provide some cool visual uh, stuff around them.
I also got to give you a lot of love for the music videos. I, as again, someone who does a lot of like video stuff myself, I really enjoyed the kind of DIY aspect of the music videos. Like it was just shot like it's only shot in the most ongoing concept way. You know, I've seen some of the old ones where you guys would like build stuff and like from previous like music videos, and I just knew I was like, they're gonna come up with something really like original. And I gotta say, you guys did an absolutely fantastic job of all the music videos because I was just like immediately immersed in it. And I love the one. I'm gonna blank on it because my brain about is just mush. But in regards to the one where you were just showing like your home videos and stuff, is it good, Dawson?
Oh yeah. No, sorry. Sorry, one second.
That's all good.
I smell fire. Hold on. Oh, okay.
Is your
Sorry.
neighbor?
My wife is she's starting a camp or a fire because we're burning sticks in our yard. But I didn't know the window was open, so I was just
So
making
you were
sure that
freaking out. Yeah, I
for
don't
a
blame you.
second I was like, I smell smoke in this house. No, yeah, the window's open.
That would have been a
Anyways, okay.
very
Sorry, Brandon.
very bad way to
That
I
would have
would
been
no, I'm glad you stopped it because worst thing I would want to say is like got to interview Dawson of, the
and
ongoing
his house
concept
burns
and
down.
his house was on fire after
Yeah,
it.
this is all wood right here.
Yep.
This is gonna go real fast. No, you were saying what were you go just
Rewind. Okay.
rewind just a second.
All
Yeah.
right. So I was just talking about my brain is a pile of mush, but I was trying to remember the music video where you kind of showed like the home videos and stuff. That
Oh
was
yeah.
like I loved that. I think that was such a cool like look in like a peek into what you guys are trying to do and just having this sort of like fun nature to it. Like there was just something about it that I was just like, man, those are like endearing kind of videos. And wow, like most bands would be like, why would you include that, right? I think for me, I really enjoyed it because it just shows that you guys from a very young age were very passionate about making music, whether it just be like banging on some like pots or whatever, or like
Yeah.
just doing what you want to do. And I think that to me was like it just sparked that like happiness in me that I was just like this is great. That was one that even if I feel like I won't listen to that song in a little bit, which is not true. I'll listen to all these songs, no pun intended again. But I that one resonated with me the most, and I just felt like to me it was like the perfect example of like, man, like these guys have been doing it for a while, and I'm glad that they're continuing to do it because there's just such an honesty to it. So wanted to give you guys a lot of kudos for that video.
Yeah, thanks. I was hoping people would receive it that way. Like I that whole video is meant to be like a fourth wall breaking video, obviously, like with our song Unwanted. We're like in
Yes.
this big box of mirrors and stuff and wanted to be like this. I always call it the Stranger Things upside down version of that, where
Yes.
we're like now we're circling that cube that we were in that was all the mirrors, but now but it's also the 90s because we're filming in VHS. Like it's just like all this weird stuff. And I was like, let's just But the idea of the home video thing, actually, I didn't even think of that. And then one of my really good friends, Dimitri, um, he was like, dude, it'd be sick if you added that. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that. So props to Dimitri.
Oh, awesome.
Um, and he's a producer himself. He does a lot of EDM stuff, but
Oh, very sick.
he actually helped us out with some of the songwriting for a couple of our songs, including that one. No, not that one. He helped us with Failures and Fakes and
Nice.
Melody Again. And he
Okay.
also helped vocal track Feel Again. But sometimes I just need a little bit of outside perspective,
Fair.
especially on this record. A big thing was I this was the first time I actually let someone else mix and master our record, which
Wow.
was something I've never done before. And on top of that, it was just me letting go of being so controlling of everything that I do. But yeah, Dimitri helped a little bit. TJ's brother Cooper helped with some synth stuff on Prisoner
Oh,
again, which was
very
really
sick.
cool. Um, but yeah, Josh Schrader is the one that mixed and mastered this
Oh,
record.
big shouts to Josh.
Yeah,
Killed it.
he is the man, and I'm very happy I was able to lock in my days to mix with him because after Lorna Shore blew the fuck up, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to preserve this guy. He's gonna be having bands coming to him like crazy
Oh,
now.
yeah. Oh,
So,
100%. Yeah.
but yeah, it was good. It was a good letting go moment for me, and it's just part of maturity. You know, I'm 31 now, and I feel like at this point in my life, I am just learning how to appreciate other people's help and support, and it doesn't always have to be 100% me. And of course, my band is always in the thick of it with me writing and
Sure.
everything,
Yeah.
but sometimes you just need a little bit of outside help. So yeah, it was fun, but I'm really glad that you enjoyed the Unwanted Again video because I feel like that I love that video. I think it looks really cool. It's so simple. It's just a
Yeah.
360 track going around a stupid little box that we made in the middle of a
It
field,
was great.
with some VHS footage put in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome.
I think to me it just speaks to your originality as a band. I think that to me was just like when I was watching it and I reacted to it initially, it just was like no matter what album or music they release, there's just some level of originality, whether it be from the visual aspect of things, the musicality. I was just enamored by how well you guys continue to just I think shock me as a fan. Like that was the first time that I feel like because obviously I wasn't doing YouTube when Saloon and Handmade came out. Same with Places, and I feel like I obviously may go back and revisit those albums again on the channel live for everybody else to enjoy here. But for me, it was like remembering some of those older music videos and just remembering how innovative they were and just how like again that DIY approach to how you guys did everything back in that back in those times and then just to continue to still have that sort of DIY originality and just migrating it to 2023. There was just something about it that I was just like no matter how much time they take off there's still that originality and I think that was what initially got me reinvigorated to check it out, but then like listening to the music, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be a good album. I can just I could feel it. So I'm glad that my senses were correct on that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I really wanted to give that some video some love because oh man, it was a heartstring kind of thing for me because I was like, yeah, that's awesome, and also for the fact that you're like in a band with your other brothers, I think that that is like the only other band that could come to mind that I thought of was like PM Today, which was like an older like Equal
Oh yeah,
Vision
PM
band.
Today. They were actually really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
And they
Um,
were like, I think all of them. I think maybe one was like a cousin. The two bands that I can think of that have like like almost an entire band full of like familial members. Don Broco is one.
Wait,
Uh,
really? Wait,
yes, I think that I don't. I'm gonna get this wrong, so if you
that is
comment
gonna blow
below,
my mind.
but
Really?
I'm almost positive that it's two cousins, and then I think two of them are brothers. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna look it up real quick
Looking her up
because,
right now. Well,
but
like John Broco was like a big influence of ours. I don't really listen to them a lot. Um, but I found those guys back in like 2013, like like way
oh, they
before a lot of
crushed.
they're and I also learned about like Def Havana is one of my favorite
Oh, they're
bands.
fantastic. I
Um,
love them too.
and they were, and then through Def Havana I found Don Broco, and then I also found Lower Than Atlantis at the same time. This
Oh,
was like 2013, 2014, and then on top of that I
my
found
man.
that Don Broco and Lower Than Atlantis was mixing with a guy named Dan. I think is it Daniel Lancaster?
Yes,
Is
Dan
that
Lancaster. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then he mixed the Bring the Horizon stuff. And I'm like, this guy is the best mixing engineer like ever. And it was like all these little bands that I had just fallen in love with when I was younger, then all having like the same producer and like all this stuff. And it was like so cool. But I did not know that about Don Broca with the Brotherhood thing. I'm looking at their last names. None of them are the same last name,
Yeah,
but
I
maybe
think
there's
I think that they're cousins or something. I know that they're like related somehow. I did a review of not their most current album, which was really good, Amazing Things, their previous album, Technology, and someone commented and said that they're, if I can find it, I'll make sure to show it. But I was like blown away by that just because I think it's like this that's awesome. Like, I think it's such a cool thing that, bands like that just, there's just
yeah.
something about them that binds them together. And I love the fact that you, including your other two brothers, just are a
Mhm.
part of a project. And I'm sure, I imagine your family's pretty musical, I'd
Oh
imagine to
yeah, yeah,
guess.
yeah.
So,
So my dad's a drummer. My mom's a piano player, and my extended family is pretty musical too. Like my grandma was a piano player. My grandpa grandma on my mom's side was piano player. My grandpa on my mom's side was like a violin player.
oh,
My
wow.
grandpa on my dad's side was also a violin player and a saxophone player. And they're very, very musical family. And then on top of that, too, like all of my mom's siblings are really talented too with music. And so all of my cousins are really talented. And whenever we have big family gatherings, it's usually just a big mix of jam sessions of all of us just playing
Oh, I'm sure.
random stuff together, and it's pretty cool. But that's always how it's been. And I've been asked multiple times over the past month on other, interviews or whatever, asking like, when did you find out that you wanted to be a musician? And it's like my answer usually is I don't know what that is, because it's like
It's
that's like
always been
asking
there.
me, yeah, it's like asking me, when did you decide you wanted to walk? It's like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, because this has always been in like a
Sure.
part of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of figured as much, and I always like in my interviews I ask like how bands formulate and stuff, but in this situation I just kind of assumed that I was like I imagine their family was just very musical, and obviously watching Unwanted again and just seeing the old videos I was like, okay, yeah, so they were just immediately invested in it right out the gate.
Yeah.
There's really no story behind it because it's just from age 2 till now, like, there's no way they were just like, "Yeah, so we just decided to create a band," like, it just kind of seemed very natural, so I feel like that question for me was, like, already kind of answered, but it's good to get the feedback, but yeah, I almost imagined instinctually, I was like, "Yeah, I feel like Dawson would say, like, we're just a music family, and
Yeah.
that's awesome." So
Very, very musical. Yeah.
but
So
the next question I have for you, Dawson, is who were you influenced by? Like, who were some of the first artists that you had listened to that really got you started out making music and getting into it? Obviously, I know your family's probably going to be one of those influences, but who kind of got you more into like the type of music you guys make now, and who influences your style more currently as well?
Um, I was pretty influenced by like back when I was really young. My dad, we will listen to a lot of Christian music, I guess,
Hmm.
because I do come from like a Christian home. Or we're not a Christian band or anything like that. We never have been, even though we're assumed to be, which is really fucking annoying. But we we grew up with a lot of like Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant stuff, and
Okay, yeah,
all that kind of stuff. But my dad really liked bands like Boston,
nice, yeah.
and big band. I think that was really dear to me and my brother Kyle's heart was Bruce Hornsby, which
Ooh,
is
wow,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, piano player guy, is so good. Like his albums and all of his music is just so melodic sounding, and I can't really put a finger on like why it sounds so good other than it's just less is more with him. It's really hard to explain, but he's been a big influence on us for even now. Like I'll go back and listen to some of those records and go, man, he just really knew how to create a melody with like so little like stuff. Like he
Sure,
just knew
yeah.
how to do it right, and it's like it's stuck in your head. And then Van Halen and that kind of like Van Halen was a big one for me when I started playing guitar. I was really like stoked on shredding and stuff. And then from there I found Dream Theater, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
And that was like where things kind of changed for all three of us, Parker and Kyle and I. Um, very, very influential. But I think they were more influential on the fourth wall breaking conceptual thing opposed to the actual music because I don't like really their music at the end of the day. Like I think it's okay, but I mean I used to listen to all of their like live DVD, like I had all their live DVDs and they're
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like they're so good at their craft. Their music is just a little bit too long and like monotonous and just not really my thing. Um and then I remember this very it was like yesterday. We had a big family reunion when I was, I don't know, like 13 or 14 years old, maybe 15. And my cousin showed me August Burns Red's
Ooh.
Messengers album for the first time.
Ooh.
And I never heard anything so crazy and fast paced and short and progressive kind of all at the same time. I think it was the 11th Hour was the song that he
Ooh.
showed me.
Great.
And I was like, this drummer is insane. The vocalist is insane. The guitars are insane. And from there was when we kind of started kind of transitioning from that progressive Dream Theater type thing to the heavier stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm talking like, I mean, I was like eighth grade at the time, maybe ninth grade. And then, yeah, we started writing stuff like that. And our first EP, What Is My Destiny, was actually Parker, our drummer. He was only 10 years old at the time. He does all the screams on that record. So if you go back, it's a weird sounding record. And that was like kind of where we were at. And then of course, Airs for Bullets came out. That's when
Oh, yeah.
Parker stopped screaming. He hit puberty and didn't know how to scream anymore. And then he has never had the interest to ever do that again. It's the funniest thing. And then yeah. But now, back then we were really into like bands like Attack Attack or Bring Me the Horizon,
Mhm.
or Asking Alexandria was a big one, um, of Mice and Men. Like that was kind of like the era where we were like really into that stuff. But over the years, we've all shifted, and that's why I mentioned Def Havana was one of my
Yes.
favorite
Oh,
bands.
fantastic.
Because
Yeah.
I like singers that have balls behind their vocals. It's hard to
Yes.
explain,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
the
yeah.
vocalist of Def Havana, he has this like really like thick vocal. I can't really explain it. Someone like Sleep Token's vocalist kind of has that
Yes.
same thing. It's like there's balls to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Def Havana on the other hand is totally different style, but he captivated me with his singing. And then I found Don Broco and that kind of stuff. And I just really kind of started to enjoy that. And then I we were on tour with Silent Planet back in like 2014 or 15 or something. I maybe it
Nice,
might be.
yeah.
And Mitch, their guitar player, showed us Dirty Loops,
Oh,
and Dirty Loops now is literally my favorite band of all time. Like, yeah, cool. I'm glad that you enjoy that.
yes.
Uh, Literally my favorite band.
Oh.
I don't understand how that band is even possible. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
so good. Their videos, their music videos are so like everything about that band is so well put together, and they just are so good. And then after Dirty Loops, I started really getting into Corey Wong and
Oh,
Volpec. And
oh,
then Dirty Loops and Corey Wong did a combination thing together like last year, and I was
yes.
like, my two favorite bands have now combined, and I did not see that coming. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm much more into like the groovy, funky,
Oh, yeah.
jazzy stuff, even though I can't play it. That's what I'm drawn to. And so our music as the ongoing concepts maybe reflects it in some ways, but as a whole, none of us really listen to heavy music anymore. We're all like in this Corey Wong kind of circle at this point. Some snarky puppy,
I was
maybe
gonna say that,
thrown,
yeah, definitely,
yeah, thrown
yeah.
in there too. And then we like bands like Lewis Cole is freaking awesome.
Wow,
Um,
alright, yeah.
Another band is Bill Wirtz. He did that really viral video on YouTube called like The History of the World. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah, oh my god,
He has
yeah,
his
yeah,
own
yeah.
he does his own songs. He just put out like a new one
What?
like recently.
Oh my
He
god.
is he is awesome. I would say that his stuff actually influenced a lot of this past record in the most weirdest way. It was There's nothing that he does that references us in any sort of way, but that's the type of music that I'm listening to, if at all. Because a lot of times I will actually just throw out music altogether when I'm writing a record. I don't like listening to music because it ends up. I find myself writing like those bands, and I don't want to sound like anybody. I want to sound like
Sure.
us. So I throw out music altogether. Don't listen to it for months. But when I do, it's always something so left
Left
field
to
that
center,
you would
yeah.
never, yeah, you would never expect me to be like inspired by something like fucking Corey Wong or something. But
I
yeah,
you know, to be fair, I was like, "Man, there's a lot of great funk elements in this album," and I was like, "I swear to God, if he says something like Volpec or he says something like Snarky Puppy or Corey Wong, I'm gonna like or Dirty Loops, I'm gonna flip shit. I'm not even joking.
well,
So you
I'm glad
crushed
I
it."
I'm glad I blew your mind. But yeah,
I I was stoked. I think like the I think you guys find a way of making it like interesting where like there's some really great heavy moments and I was just like, you just can't help but make the like atypical like like reactor face where you're like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that hits." But then the things that kind of I took away from again that really struck me the most were some of those more like funkier like guitar parts or even some of like the vocal like ad lib kind of parts where you're just kind of like vocally riffing and I was like this is sick like this is something that I feel like it takes a lot of skill and a lot of effort to just want to kind of again have those sort of vocal runs or like the way that you guys layered it out like there was just some attention to detail that I think that if you enjoy the sort of like funk aspects of things then you might enjoy this album that much more because there is that kind of like almost Corey Wong effect or like the sort of like snarky puppy feel where you're like, okay, there's got to be some sort of like funk elements that they're trying to exude more. And
yeah,
I really feel like you guys kind of crushed it on that end of things, but like you have like the heavier aspects that I feel like Don Broco brings where, when those riffs hit, you have some fat riffs. So I think you
yeah,
guys find that middle ground between like funkiness, but then like having those chunky riffs where you're like, yeah, this is sick. I like this.
nice. I appreciate it. I'm glad you can you analyzed it that way. That's awesome.
I hope other people analyzed it that way because it genuinely like floored
I don't
me.
know. Some people, I don't know. You seem like you observe bands pretty well.
No, thank you.
Not dissing on anyone else, but some people just don't even know like what to think. So I don't know.
I also feel like it's going from just I would listen to just like metal music constantly. Like, and I think that my ability to kind of grow and listen to different artists from different genres that, and it's just like a slow build. You get bands that are like kind of fringe, and then you move more deeper into the musical palette. And I think that a lot of bands right now are like less gatekeepy, which I love because you get some really cool amalgamations of like a genre that you love, and I think that
Yeah,
that to me is like some of the bands that I really love because you get to hear, where would you hear like more funky guitar riffs and then hear a breakdown kind of part after that? I don't feel like if you threw that shit in like 2011, everybody would look at you like you had five heads and you probably shouldn't be here, And now it's like, if you do it, it's like, that's the cool stuff. People like that. The kids like that,
you want to know
So,
you want to know a band? I totally forgot about this band, but they actually have been. I would say back more like 10 years ago
sure,
when
sure,
we
sure.
were a big band that we kind of found that influenced us a little bit was a band from Japan called Maximum the Hormone. I think
Oh
they're,
my God. Yes.
you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
my God. Wow.
That band
What a
is like,
throwback.
yeah, but that band
Oh,
is did everything that we did, but like times 100,000%
yeah, holy
better.
shit.
Like that band was on a whole different level of
Oh my
insane. And
God.
I oh man, if I could just do like one show with those guys, that would be the most amazing thing. Like I don't know what they do.
Wow.
I tried to figure out if it was possible to tour with them in Japan just back in the day. Uh I don't think that they really do that kind of stuff. But
Oh
man,
man.
that band was insane.
Wow, you pulled that name really out of the hat. Holy shit. Wow. Oh my God. Now I need to go listen. After this, I'm gonna have to go throw them on. Oh man,
You
that's
should.
what a name. Oh my God. What a band. Yeah, that's a great. That's wow, what a great analogy. Yeah, that's that I've been trying to find like the best way to surmise your band to people, and I think, well, again, people probably won't get that reference at all, so it's just kind of like, if you know, but I kind of say like, do you like breakdowns? And then people hit me with a thumbs up, and I was like, do you like really funky, like kind of like almost pop riffage vocally and guitar wise, and also like other instruments? And then they hit me with a thumbs up. I'm like, check this album out. This is the shit. This
Yeah.
is what you are looking for. So I
And
I
a, and
think
a,
that's awesome.
a band that's doing it right now too is a band called the Callous Cowboys. They kind
Yes.
of have I've known them for a little bit. We played a few shows with them back in like 2016,
Woo.
and I think they've really been a big fan of our band. And I love they're just really nice people. Carson, their vocalist, is very, very, very humble and nice, and I love seeing what they're doing, and it's really cool to see them getting some recognition to the
Yes.
past couple of years. So I would love. I'm trying to figure out to do some sort of tour or something centered with them as well. Um, I don't really know if that's going to come to be, but they just seem like a perfect band to kind of to mesh with.
I would agree.
We'll see what happens, but yeah, they're very, very cool. And it's really, really nice to see that people are willing to listen to something a little bit off of what the norm is, you know.
Yeah, I think it's become, like I said, the boundaries have been broken. So I think
Yeah.
that's a great thing, and I only hope that it allows more bands to just do what they want to do. I think that's the best thing that I can resonate with bands is when I love to see a band that loves what they write about and love making the music that they make, because you just can tell, it's there's sort of this genuineness that you're like, they're writing this, they love singing it, they love performing it. What else should I do? I shouldn't be shitting on them. If they like what
Totally.
they like, they should go out and do it. So
Totally.
but the next question I have for you, Dawson, is for people who aren't familiar with the ongoing concept, what song would you recommend to a new listener to check out first to kind of give them a flavor of what you do?
Um
I know
I
it's a
think
tough one. So
that is really if they're uh
you can give a
I
couple
think
options, I think.
yeah, I think Feel Again is a good one. Amends Again is, oh my God. I feel like every single song you could put. I really like Melody Again. Oh my God. I don't even know, dude. This is hard. This is way harder than I thought. Um,
Now when you actually have to think about it, right?
yeah. Um, I would say, I would just say Prisoner, or no, sorry, Feel Again, because Feel Again is really heavy, but it has a lot of acapella stuff. Oh, but it
Fair.
doesn't have TJ singing either. I don't know. I, I would say just listen to any song because it's just whatever. I can't put my finger on one at all. That's so hard. Yeah.
I knew that one
So
was gonna be a pod stir, if I'm gonna be honest. As soon as I had that in the thought, I was like, man, this one's gonna be a tough one for him
yeah,
to
that's
land on.
very very tough.
I would say, I guess if I could throw my hat in the ring, even though I'm not in the band, I would say Unwanted Again is probably a good choice. I would say
Yeah, the only thing is Unwanted Again doesn't have any screaming, and
it doesn't
so
have any screaming. Yeah,
you
that is true.
might you might throw people off because they might be really into that song, but then they listen to something
And then
else
it's
and
like,
they're like, "Oh,
ah, yeah, so like
so
Saloon Again. Yeah, that one's
yeah,
that's a
so
rough one. Yeah,
that's why was thinking Feel Again because it has a good,
yeah,
groovy singing thing, but with also, some really heavy vocals, so you kinda get like a
a mix
half
of
in
both.
between mix. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
tough, yeah. But guys, you should check out the whole album again with the links in the description. Go pick it up, and then
Yeah,
you can let us know.
and if you get vinyl or a CD, you should just listen to it from front to back because that's how it's meant to be played.
Yeah, you can't just like split.
No,
You can't be
no.
like, oh man, I gotta listen to, I'm gonna jump
Well,
songs.
a lot of people were like, well, I mean, even you on your reaction, the first song, it's like a minute and a half of just like bubbles and water noise, and you're like, "Whoa, all right, I guess that was the song." Well, that's the point. It's the
Yeah,
concept. It's a story that to be unfolded, and music just isn't really made that way these days. And I miss when it was. So for anyone that's like a little bit old school, they'll get it. But for anyone that's like newer, it's a story, and so listen to it from the front to back, and
I
you'll
loved
enjoy
it.
it.
I really did come around on that last song though. I feel like like at first I was like, I don't get this. And then once
Right?
the ending came in, I'm not gonna spoil it so you guys can go listen to the full
Oh,
thing.
you talking about the last song?
The last song, and then I was like, it came
Yeah.
full circle, and I was like, okay, I get it
And
now.
for anyone wondering about that last song is a four-part song that is every last track of all of our albums. It's a continuation. So,
What? Oh
yeah,
man.
so now, Brandon, you should go back and listen to
Uh,
Goodbye So Long My Love from Saloon, and then listen to Falling from Handmade, and then listen to Spirit Lake from Places,
oh
and
my
all of that
god.
will come together into its own, uh, whole other concept. It's like a side
Oh
quest
my
from
god.
the main
You
quest.
are breaking me right now, Dawson. Oh my god. Holy shit, you're right. Oh my god. It's all flooding back. That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so I mean, that's just bringing back to, like, we're very subtle, we're very vague with what we're doing,
wow.
and and we hope that people will get it, and a lot of people have, like, a lot of it's don't feel bad that you didn't figure that one out, but that's just how we've been doing this, like, random story that's kind of being thought out or explained throughout, all 4 of our albums on the last track.
I'm just gonna say it because I did it live. That doesn't, that I had to listen to it in one just swoop, so I'm not discounting that I couldn't have
I'm
figured it
not
out.
giving you shit at all. You listened to it on the first playthrough, and everything you said was 100% exactly what I expected someone to kind of, say
Okay.
on their first, run through, like, so don't feel bad at all.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
I'm glad that I blew your mind because now you can go back
I'm
and
fucked up now. Wow, that's great. That was a nugget of information that would have done super well in that moment. But I understand. There's a mystique to art, and I love
yeah,
that. So
yeah,
now
that's
just
awesome.
again, no pun intended. That's why you need to go back and just listen to just the ongoing concept as a whole it's well worth your time. You know, arguably one of the most creative metalcore bands to ever exist. I'd argue. You know, I'm arguing the point. Dawson doesn't have to say anything, but I feel like I need to shout from my metaphorical rooftop to say that they're one of the most just out of the box thinking bands, and I still believe that. So go check
Thanks,
out
dude.
again. It's great. Next question for
Awesome.
you, Dawson, is a fun one. If you could pick a song to cover as the ongoing concept, do you guys have any in mind?
Oh my gosh, we did one cover ever, and it was called "Battlefield" by Jordan Sparks back in the day.
Yes. Oh my God.
I do not cover music very often. Like I've actually had this conversation multiple times in the past couple weeks. Like I was always the guy that would go to, parties or outings, you know, back when I was in high school or middle school. And of course everyone knew I played guitar and did all this stuff. And they'd always be like, Dawson, play a song. And I'd always end up playing like an original song. And then the motherfucker that only knew Banana Pancakes by Jack Johnson would come in and play the 3 chord fucking riff. And all of a sudden, all the girls liked him. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, this is so dumb. So I'm not a cover girl or a cover.
You're not a cover girl either.
I'm not a cover girl. Yeah. I just don't do that stuff. So I don't really know what kind of song I would do for
That's
a
fair
cover.
though.
But
So you have a PTSD moment. It's all right.
no, 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 no. Um, I'm trying to think though. There might be something that would be kind of fun. I think at one time we wanted to do another one, "Bites the Dust" by Queen. I think we
Ooh,
thought that would have
wow.
been fun. Um, but yeah, we also did a cover of "Jingle Bell Rock" for the Solid State
You did, yeah.
Midnight.
You did,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a really hard question to answer. So I can't really give you much on
All
that
right.
one.
Well, if you guys want to suggest a comment for Dawson, I can't guarantee that the ongoing concept will do it, but you can leave a comment down in the comment section below. He might look at it. I can't guarantee anything, but you might see a cover.
Yeah, you might spark something.
If I feel like if I had to throw my metaphorical hat in the ring, you did mention Boston earlier, and I think you guys could crush a Boston song.
Yeah,
My gut says more than a feeling just for the sheer popularity of it, but I kind of want to hear,
I like the song
I kind
"Smokin'."
of smoking. That's what no joke. That's the second one I was thinking of. So
Song-
I feel like you guys could
so
crush that one.
so good.
Oh
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
or like there could be maybe a Journey song. Uh, oh man, I was just watching this like funny video where they like took what one was it? Where they just took the audio out and added sound effects of them playing to it. And it was hilarious. It was like a TikTok or something. But there's some good Journey songs that I could think of doing maybe too. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I think smoking, that would be my choice.
That'd
So
be that'd be hilarious. My mom
I
would love that. She hated that song because it had the word token in it, and my dad would only play that song when we were driving in his truck somewhere. He'd blast it. It's just, I mean, this is when I was like 3, 4, 5 years old.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I have a lot of fond memories of that album. My dad as well, like showed me Boston when I was very young, and he actually gave me his album on vinyl from like 70 years, like a long time ago.
oh
So
wow,
I have the
that's cool.
OG. So I feel like for me, that's always going to be a very monumental album for me. So shout outs to, I don't even know what I was going to say, my dad. I was going to say Mr. Audio Addiction, but that's me. So, the next question I have for you, Dawson, is if you guys could pick somebody to collaborate with on an up and coming song, does any person come to mind?
Ooh, um, wow. So I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't ever have featured vocal or featured
Yes,
artists on our
I do notice that.
I don't. I would love to work with people, but I also find myself there's a very fine line between doing it because it makes sense and then doing it because you want to get more views on your video with their name attached to it.
That's fair. Yeah,
So I'm very much like not into that unless it makes sense.
sure.
Now, um, fucking Corey Wong. I'd love to do something
Oh,
with Corey Wong. I don't know. Like that That'd be cool because to me that would be awesome. Like there's nothing to gain because his followers don't give two shits about the music that we write. So I know that it's authentic in every single way because for him to add some underneath riffage, that would be the coolest shit. So yes, Corey Wong, 100%.
I listen. Well, I also like Cory Wong, so there's at least one person that would enjoy it. So that
Okay,
would be
well,
me. But
yeah,
I also am in the minority, I imagine. So uh, I hope not. I hope there's plenty of Cory Wong fans and as well as ongoing concept fans. And this is your time to rise up. So I am going to tweet out obviously tweet at Cory Wong and also the ongoing concept and then type in the word collab question mark and then I'm going to send it and it's on the internet so it's got to be real. So,
I'll 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 retweet it too if you do it
there's
on
a good
Twitter.
chance I believe in manifestation, so come on. Let's do it, guys. If you're a Cory Wong fan or you're also just like a Volpec, you're just if you're a fan of his stuff, do me a great favor and retweet it. I feel like that would make my day, and I'd also think it would make Dawson's day as well. So
It
let's do it
would.
up.
It would.
So
Definitely.
next question for you, Dawson. My personal favorite. I'm a huge nerd, so I love asking this. If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
Um. Oh, I think I think that I would enjoy being Link from Legend of
Ooh.
Zelda to an extent.
Okay, yeah.
I love. I'm just so excited for the
Oh,
new game to come out.
it's gonna
So
be great.
maybe I'm just thinking about that. But I have been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2, which I just started playing like a few months ago for the first time. That's pretty fun. I love how it's like old back in the 1800s, which is a great, I think, a rough time to live, but also like
Yeah.
if I had the knowledge of me now living, if I could just transport into that game with all the knowledge I know now, that would be pretty freaking cool. So the toss up between that. Um, but yeah, I think it would just be fun. I'm gonna say Red Dead over Link because Link is just constantly never gonna like succeed. He's always just so close to getting like the princess, but it's like Mario, same way. It's never gonna happen. And I don't know about Red Dead, but Red Dead, you just do whatever the fuck you want, so you can just have fun in that realm.
You would
Yeah,
just die of dysentery. That's like the only object in your
yeah,
way, other than like
yeah.
obviously a bear or something. But
But see, I'd have the
you
knowledge of
have the
like
knowledge, yeah.
I could probably figure out and get some herbs and stuff and cure my tuberculosis or whatever the fuck he gets and be fine.
I love that. I love that. That's great. And you kind of got the Red Dead look right now, so with the beard.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying that cuz I could never grow facial hair, and if I really really tried, I probably could grow a Fu Manchu, and I just feel like that's just not living. I don't I want to be old first before I have the Fu Manchu, just like when I just let everything go. I'm just done. It's
yeah,
whatever.
gotcha.
I always want to be like, one of those ancient bestowed wisdom, I want to be able to
Yeah,
impart that wisdom to someone. Be like, definitely don't start a YouTube channel right
yeah.
now in year 2049. Like, they're like, what is this guy talking about? He's so, we're on to the
What's
next thing. This has been
what's
eons since,
YouTube?
yeah, what's YouTube? But, love the answer. Great, great answer. Such a fantastic game as
Well, what's
well, too.
yours?
Well, listen, to keep with the tradition of my answer, I am a huge Pokemon fan, so I
Okay.
have to go with Gen 2 Pokemon trainer. Ironically enough, his name's Brendan. I did not plan that, but since my name is close enough in proximity, yeah, it feels like the right answer. Not
I
only
could see that
that,
being fun.
but
Yeah,
just
I like that.
who wouldn't want to have like who wouldn't want to have like a Raichu as like just like walking by
Oh,
or whatever, I think that's just great. That sounds awesome.
that
I
sounds
have
awesome.
the closest thing I have is my cat, and he doesn't shoot like lightning out of his face, so it's a little
I
upsetting.
love
It's a work
I
in
love
progress.
I love that Detective Pikachu movie that came out a couple years
Oh, it was
ago.
great. Yeah.
It was just a good all around movie. Like I loved it, and it's just not something that happens very often. And I don't know. It's just like whenever I watch a movie that's like just sincere all the way through, I always I just love that. It's just not something that happens very often anymore. But that was a great movie.
I gotta watch the Mario movie. That's the next movie to watch
Yep,
for me.
my wife and I are gonna go watch that this week, hopefully. Hey, Emily, we're gonna go watch Mario this week, right? Okay. Just remind
Well,
me.
now it's on
No,
video, so
I want to watch it so bad. It looks so good, and it seems to be breaking records too. So,
it's
um,
good. That's what you
yeah,
love to see. I'm hoping
yeah.
just like they continue on with that and they're allowed to just do like more video game movies. Last of Us, a great TV series, also
I haven't
adapted
seen
from a
that
video
one.
game.
I
So
never played the game, so that might be why I haven't really
the
watched it yet.
game I would highly recommend playing.
I
That
love
is
the other game that Naughty Dog does, the Treasure Hunter. Fuck, what's it called? You know what I'm talking about. They
Uncharted.
made a Uncharted. I love the
Yes.
Uncharted games. Those are fun.
And they
Yeah.
also made a movie about that, which I
Yep.
think was pretty good. I didn't see it, so I'll have to watch that and get back
I
to you
haven't
guys
seen
on
it.
it. But
Yeah.
love the answer, Dawson, nonetheless. Again, sporting the very like Red Dead Redemption look for us today, so I appreciate it. But the next question I have for you, Dawson, is what is one of the best live bands you've seen? I know you probably have seen a lot of bands in your days, but like what is bands that kind of like cemented in your head? You're like, man, they put on a great performance.
Um, I thought August Burns Red was really good. I've
Yes.
only seen them twice. I also remember seeing Bring Me the Horizon at Warp Tour right after
Ooh,
Sempiternal came out,
ooh.
and I was blown away by how good I don't know if there was their sound guy, but like at Warp Tour, it's very dodgy. You're dealing with dodgy sound. A
Yeah.
lot of times it sounds like
Yeah.
absolute
Oh,
ass.
oh yeah.
And then that band came on, and it sounded so good. And Ollie was just so freaking tight and awesome. Like he was just on his A game, and it was pretty impressive to see. um, and it was Warp Tour, so you were like, "Holy shit, it sounds
This
that
is
good!"
great. Yeah.
Like that's insane. Couple other, I'm trying to think of like another bands. I know there's a few. I don't know. I would have to almost like, I don't go to a lot of concerts. That's the thing. So all the bands I'm thinking of are bands that were because I was touring. Like when I saw Bring
Sure.
the Horizon, it was
Yeah.
because we actually were following Warp Tour and we were playing to the line.
Wow.
We
Oh
were
my
getting
God.
kicked out. Like security didn't like us play. It was like right before Saloon even came out. It was like 2000, like early 2013 or something, or 2012. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it was 2013. It was like June or July of 2013.
Wow.
Right. And so yeah, we also toured with Norma Jean, which was really cool.
Nice.
They're pretty
Yeah.
tight. They're pretty tight live as well, and it was really cool because 68 was opening, or
Yes.
it was like us, Sleepwave, 68, and then Norma Jean, and seeing Josh Scoggin do a guest encore song of Memphis
Oh,
was like one of the coolest things ever to like see him just pop up and just start doing that because the crowd went absolutely nuts. So that was cool. Let Live was a really cool band
oh,
to see live too.
yes.
We played a few shows with them. Jason is just so unpredictable, and it was pretty like, there's a few times where he just like blew your mind with
Yeah.
whatever he would randomly do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just listening to a lot of bands that I've like to see, but I don't go to concerts very often because I'm not a night owl. I like
Sure.
going to bed by like 9 p.m. and I also hate standing. So if you want to give me like a chair to put side stage, I'll go to more shows. That's often not the case. So
Oh, honestly, as someone who just recently turned 30, I am starting to feel that, starting to feel the age. But then at the same point, I'm like, age is a number. So
what
until
ends
my
up
joints give
happening,
out, then I'll,
yeah,
have a problem.
and what ends up happening too is that I like, to me music is kind of a job, and so I find
Sure.
myself
Yeah.
when I'm watching a band live, I'm looking for all of the things that are happening that no one else has seen. So I'm seeing that the drummer broke his stick. I'm seeing that the bass drum mic got kicked and now is not on the bass drum mic, and therefore sacrificing the sound quality of the show. I'm noticing that the guitar player's wireless is not working correctly. I see all of these random things all the time, and I get stressed out for the band itself,
Yeah.
which means I don't have any pleasure in it at all.
You're just
And
like
I find
sweating.
I'm sweating, I feel bad for them, or I'm actually helping them out by going,
You're
"Hey,
just
hey, hey,
going,
hey,
oh, hey,
we
we
gotta
gotta move
fix
this.
this,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, I didn't come here for this. I came here to watch. Why am I doing this?" So for me, I just I just avoid it altogether.
That's fair. I think it's kind of like I also have that same sort of thought process like when I see friends bands like playing and I'm like, "Oh god, I got to fix this mic or whatever."
Yeah.
And people are like, "Why are you doing that?" Like,
Yep.
are you not enjoying the show? And I was like, "No, I enjoy the show, but I also like want my homies to do well." So then it's like kind of like a
Yeah.
50-50. It's like I can sacrifice my time, for someone to just like crush it. So
Yeah.
it's tough. It's a tough thing. But the next question I have for you, Dawson, and the last one, really love asking this question. And again, want to thank you so much for taking the time. I hope you had a blast. I try to treat this as like just two homies having a conversation. So
Totally. Yeah.
I appreciate it. But, what obviously we talked about you taking a hiatus, with the band, and just the band as a whole taking a hiatus. I don't want to just say you specifically, but I have you on, so that's why I kind of narrowed it down a little bit. Um,
Right.
but this question I think is a little bit more monumental. Like, why is music so important to you enough to come back, have the own concept, come out of hiatus and release music? Because realistically, like you said, you have a day job. All of your
Mhm.
bandmates have their own day jobs and they do their thing. Like, why is this something that is relevant to you? Because I think at the end of the day, I love having artists on and I love their music, but I think it makes me have a little bit more appreciation for why they do it and why they love to do it when I know why they love to do it. I think that's like the most crucial thing to me on like it just gives me a little bit more admiration for why you guys do it and spend the time to do it. Cuz people ask me all the time, "Why do you interview bands in your free time? Why is this important to you?" So, I want to
Yeah.
extend that question to you.
I love the journey of it all. I
Mhm.
enjoy um, just the process of starting with nothing and then slowly creating something that then expands from that to multiple of somethings, and those become songs, and then you have a full album. And then I enjoy the progression of cinematically creating. Well, that's the thing I love when I write music. A lot of times, I don't actually write music for the music. I'm always thinking about how the music video would be. So I a lot of times write for the music video opposed to the music itself. And
Sure.
so I love the journey of seeing in my head going, oh man, this would be so sick for, you know, these people running away in prison jumpsuits in the snow. And like writing a song like that and then actually putting video to it and then being like, oh man, I just created like a whole like visionary art piece
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I love the progression of that and all the elements and kind of as stressful as it is, I enjoy kind of I've used this term a lot, but I'm going to use it again because it makes so much sense. There's a scene from Indiana Jones where the slab of rock is coming down and Indiana Jones slides underneath it. And then at the last moment grabs his hat, takes it away, and then it
It's
closes.
yeah.
It's just barely, just by the skin of your neck, you barely made it. I feel like that's kind of always how our band has been. It's like we look back on those and we're like, how did we even get away with like doing that? Like it was like the timing was perfect. We had a lot of things like random things happen, like camera stops working or like a lens breaks or this and that. But like somehow we made it all work. And this is just from all of our music videos and all of our records. Like we're always dealing with like these little circumstances that are just like, what the heck is going on? And from the DIY aspect of our band, like we're just always barely scraping by and making it work. And we look back, 5 or 6 years later and just being so proud of all of the work that we did. And I love that. I love being able to look back on all of our stuff and just be proud of the music that we created. And in a narcissistic kind of way, because I feel like that's the only way I can put it,
Sure.
I like writing music that I like to hear. And I don't and when I write music, I tend to not listen to anyone else's music. I like music. I love music. I don't listen to it very often. In fact, I don't ever listen to it when I'm driving. It's always silence. That's just how I roll. And so when I write music, I want to write music that I would actually want to hear. So
Sure.
narcissistically, I do actually like the music that I write. In fact, I will actually listen to our music once in a while and actually like it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I can't word it any other way without sounding pretentious in some way, but that's how I write music and that's how I enjoy writing it. And that's how my band enjoys writing it. We enjoy the songs that we write and we would actually listen to them and do on our off time because they're just good songs and they're fun. So yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think like, and it's not. I don't feel like it's narcissistic. Like
It
I
just
always love how
sounds
bands. I always love when bands preface that. I think it's actually endearing because like a lot of the times, like when I have bands on, like you wanna know that the band that is making the music also listens to their music. Like they like I think there's just that like endearing quality. Like at least to me, I'm like, oh, Dawson listens to Ongoing Concept, like that's fucking sick, you know, like that's awesome. And like I don't think it discounts my love of the band. I think it's just like you enjoy the music that you make so much so that you want to listen to it and you want to just try to like if it maybe be a means to like up my game as like a you know producer and like kind of figuring out what we need to do next or like drawing inspiration, like going back, as you mentioned, you know, closer to the beginning of the interview, going back and listening to some older files and like seeing what can be pulled from that. I think there's that level of like honesty that is
yeah.
brought out in your music, and so I don't ever feel like whenever I have bands on that it's a bad thing to listen to your own music. I think it's probably actually one of the best reasons why we should go check out the band is that they're listening to their own music because they like it, you know, and I think that
Well,
that's
and
an endearing thing.
being a producer, like, producing the whole record and all of our other records, like I've listened to the songs like 3 or 4,000 times
Yeah.
probably. And so I'm so over the songs, but I still like them. And that's always a good sign because I'm just consistently growing and getting better because now I'm like, I know what we could have done that could be better on their next songs that we write. And it's just a progression of growth as a band as a whole.
Yeah, and I think it just shows the evolution of the band, and obviously I am immensely stoked that you guys are back out and doing it. So again, Dawson, thank you for taking the time, but I'm gonna pass the metaphorical mic to you. Tell the people where they can find the ongoing concept at, what you guys have coming up in the next couple months, and anything else you would like to shill about your band.
Sure. Yeah, you can find us at, the ongoing concept, mostly on all socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. But if you do want to kind of keep in touch with us more, I would say theongoingconcept.com. We're really trying to boost our website. I feel like, especially with how the algorithms work these days, if you really want to know exactly what's going on, see our merch store and new videos or anything that we're doing, like go check us out on our website because then you actually are funneled into the correct slot of all the stuff that's happening. And yeah, as far as like stuff that we're doing, we have a cool announcement that's coming out. Hopefully by the end of the week, a small little tour that's just regional. That will be really fun. But we also are going out on tour with Lightworker and Bloodlines at the end of June, and
Ooh.
we're playing audio feed in Illinois on July 1st and 2nd, I think. But we're doing a little run to get us there with Lightworker and Bloodlines. So it's like
Oh.
June 26th through like July 4th or something like that. Um, so yeah, we've already posted about that and everything, but yeah, as of now, we don't have anything in the fall yet, but we're kind of like, we got some irons in the fire and we just want to keep, putting out more content, maybe some more music videos. And yeah, so we just just want to keep the ball rolling.
Well, I hope the ball continues to move, and obviously, best of luck going further. Already know I'm going to be keeping an eye on what the ongoing concept is going to be doing. I'm again so immensely stoked they're back and making music. And if you haven't listened to again, arguably an album to check out, I would 10 out of 10 recommend listening to it front to back. It is just things that unexpected things that I feel like most people that have been in the genre, or if you're new to the genre, should be checking out, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. So great album. And also, if you live in that area, go out and see them live. I've had the pleasure of seeing them twice, and I hope that inevitably I'll be able to see them for a third time. Maybe by the end of the year. If not, hopefully next year. I'm hoping they
Hopefully,
make it out to the Northeast at some point. I understand that's quite a trek from Idaho, so
a little bit,
it's
but we
it's a
definitely
little drive. Yeah.
we like that part of the country. It always treats us well. So hopefully we can get out there soon.
There we go. Well, guys, please go check out the ongoing concept. I'll leave all of the links in the description for their website, all their social media. Please go give them a follow. They well deserve it. So go show them some love. Also wanted to show some love to Shane over at Adam Splitter. He's awesome. Thank you. Salutes for reaching out and for getting the ongoing concept on here. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way. And again, massive thanks to Dawson for coming on tonight.
Yeah, dude. Thanks so much for having me. And maybe we'll do another one here at some point again. I'm always down. Maybe we'll talk about other things besides the band. I'm always down for that too.